Hey now, cats, we're back again on the Balls from Ellwood Show. And with me today is someone that I've been wanting to chat with for a very long time. I love this film, Fried Berry, I seen a while ago, and I just saw his take on the horror classic Street Trash, and I haven't had such a fun time watching a film in a long while. So I just want to give it up for writer, director, actor Ryan Kruger. How you doing, man?
Hey man, how's it going? Cool. I'm so
Good.
happy that you enjoyed the movie.
I have to say, I love it a lot. Like, whenever I'd heard that it was even like, just in the conceptual stage, I'm like, that's going to be tough shoes to fill because I know horror fans are very, very particular. And I wanted to ask you, like, I'm pretty sure it's been pretty well received. Like, was that a worry whenever you had thought about doing that film? Because I mean, horror fans can be pretty, pretty persnickety.
Yeah, you know what? It was one of those things where, I mean, I didn't go out my way to make this film. I was approached to do it and to write it and direct it. So yeah, as soon as I got offered the movie, straight away, as a fan of the original, I wanted to do something completely different and keep it in that same world and make it more of a loose sequel than a remake. And, we even mentioned the first, the original film in this film. So I just wanted to keep it in that same world, but just a little bit, years down the line. And, yeah, and it's one of those where I played homage and little nods, to the original, but it's all about just getting, just doing something that I wanted to do and doing something different, but still having that street trash DNA, whether it's the prosthetics or the multicolored goo, but just ticking those boxes.
Yeah, I love the way it ties in. I mean, I got a bunch of street trash questions for you, but real quick before we get to that, I actually wanted to ask you a little bit about you because, like, I actually don't know a lot about you, and I wanted to know, like, what was it like for you growing up? Did you always aspire to be like a filmmaker, writer, and actor?
Yeah, I guess I was one of those kids that always knew what I wanted to do. I didn't waste time doing anything else. But even so, knowing that in this industry, obviously it just takes a hell of a long time and position to keep at it and keep doing it. And you never know when you're gonna get the next job. And especially as an actor, as I started out, doing acting first. But yeah, I've always wanted to be an actor, and then went into directing, and I still do both, and I juggle both, and I'm happy that I stayed at it. And what's really sad to me is that I remember people at in my film school or in acting classes over the years, remember how passionate they were, and then obviously it gets to a point in your life where where they give up, or they're sick of being broke, or the wife wants a house or a kid or whatever, and it just gets to that point, and it's hard. And I've made a lot of sacrifices along the way, but I'm happy I stuck at it, obviously, and still it's if it was so easy, this industry, everybody would be doing it. So it is a very hard industry to make a film that people know about. And to make a film in general is a fucking miracle, that any film that actually ever gets made. So yeah, it is I think you just gotta love what you do. If if it's the film industry, you gotta really love what you do to keep at it and to stay there.
I mean, did you have supportive parents? Did they see how passionate you were at a young age, and did they encourage that, or did they be like,
I think every parent, obviously, as soon as their kid wants to be like an artist or a actor, director, musician, or anything, everybody knows it's probably not going to happen, and it's just a phase. It's just a phase. And I think with my mum and dad, they always gave me a lot of support, which was great. But I remember at one point, my mum and dad saying to me, just for safety, why don't I'm not saying it's not going to work out, Ryan, but just for safety, why didn't you study this or study something else? And then I was like thinking, and I was like, yeah, I'll do directing. And they were like, ugh, We didn't mean anything to do with the film industry. We meant something else. But it was so good years ago because I grew up in England, in Liverpool, and then moved to South Africa about 16, 17 years ago. And when I started making my name in South Africa, it was through like music videos. And it was so nice that I got to a point in my career where I wasn't asking my mom and dad for like money the whole time because I was normally the kid that that did the film industry and didn't have money and stuff. And then when I started making a name for myself, it was so nice. The one time when like my dad came on holiday to South Africa and he could see I was in like magazines and newspapers and stuff like that. And it was just cool to see my dad see that and go, oh fuck, he's doing it, he's doing it. And it was the same with my mom. It just got to a point where they were like, fuck, he's actually doing what he said he wanted to do, and he's now making money from it. So that was pretty awesome, to see
That's got to
that.
be a great feeling, man. I read that you worked on several music videos for bands that I absolutely love, man. I was blown away. It said you worked with the Misfits and Black Flag and Slipknot,
Yeah, so
Soup. How was that experience? Like, how did that help you whenever you decided to make a feature film, or is that like a completely different animal?
basically how I started out was, I did my acting first, and then I slowly went into directing. And I think one of the first things I properly kind of started doing was working with those bands, as you mentioned, but it wasn't music videos. It was I was shooting like a reality TV show, kind of like a
Really?
Jackass vibe thing, but it was
Huh.
backstage with those bands, either in hotels, tour buses, or the venues. And it was basically 3 years of partying, basically. But that was like a cool project just to bands that I admired and some bands that were really cool and really adventurous. And then some bands that I really liked were really fucking boring and didn't do
See,
anything.
actually, I wanted to ask you that. What stands out in your mind is like the craziest thing you witnessed when you were hanging out with these bands? You don't have to name names, but is there a specific instance you can tell me about?
Um, this is just one thing, and it wasn't even one of my favorite bands at all. But they were really nice guys. It was there was lots of different things that happened, but the first one that just came to mind because it was in Kerrang magazine, that the
Yeah, I
the metal
remember that.
magazine back in the
Oh yeah.
day, and it was actually Bowling for Soup, they were actually super nice guys. Not really my style of music, but they were like super nice guys. And I remember they threw a fridge out of the window of their dressing room at a venue in Liverpool or Manchester, and it like went out, hit the floor. Luckily, it didn't hit anybody outside the balcony of the building, and then we got thrown out of the building. And we didn't want to leave any beer, so we were like carrying all the beer to the tour bus, trying to get everything to the tour bus. But that was just like one of the scenarios. But Chris from Bowling for Soup, I think he was the bassist or guitar player, I think, and he was cool. I stayed in touch with him for like many years. I haven't spoken to him for a while now, but they were cool. But there was a lot of like metal bands and hardcore bands, and yeah, there was a lot of crazy shit. But fun times.
You're obviously a horror fan, so when did your love of horror start? Was it an early age? Like I like to call it the chasing the dragon moment, like where you see something or you see a particular film and you get the bug and like you realize that you're a horror fan for the rest of your life. Is there something that stands out in your mind like that you're chasing the dragon moment? What film was that for you?
I think it was just like being a kid, going into the video shop, looking at all those amazing like artwork, front covers of movies, and going, I want to watch that. And just whether it was discovering The Fly or Nightmare on Elm Street or Evil Dead or any of those movies, it was just like I remember like getting Nightmare on Elm Street on VHS, and recorded, taped off somebody, and we just like passed it around and we like watched it and stuff. But I think all those movies and The Thing and Christine and all those, like it was just, yeah, I think it was just a part of childhood growing up, and obviously the prosthetics was like always a big a big thing, and the whole gore aspect was always like amazing. Watching it, going, "Oh wow, shit! How did they do that? Oh, that looks so real, or looks so creepy and stuff." So yeah.
If you could collaborate with somebody famous in the horror industry that you haven't got to work with, who would that be?
Um, it would probably be. I'm a big fan of. I love John Carpenter. I
Mm.
love David Cronenberg.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, it would probably be one of those guys. But yeah, it's they're legends. They're great at what they do.
I mean, let's get to street trash now. I want to talk a little bit about that. What is your process like when you started writing the script? Like, can you tell me how long that takes to from beginning to end to actually write, finish? And I mean, you worked with the original writer from Street Trash too. I read, I think, right? Mm.
He was on board as an exec producer, so he didn't write the script, but he checked out the script and he was happy what we were going to do for the film, and so we had the blessings of the original guys, which was awesome. The process of the script, I don't even know how long it took now because it's one of those things where I think it was like I'm guessing now. I don't know. Maybe it was like 3 months or so, just working on it constantly, and then leaving it and not knowing when the actual film was going to get made. And then when you know something's going to get made, then you go, okay, I better look at the script again and really. And it's nice to go away and come back again because you pick up things that you didn't realize that you wrote, and you're like, why the fuck did I write that? Like, I want to change this. I want to add that. And I mean, Sokol wasn't even in the first draft of the script. He wasn't
Oh,
even
I
in the
didn't know
first
that.
draft of the
Wow.
script. So it was only, like the third or fourth draft, he ended up coming in. And I think it was about a month before actually shooting the film. I also rewrote a lot of the script and just tightened everything and took out bits and added bits and just changed it up because I knew the film was going to get made now because you can write a script and you write it to a certain degree and then it's almost like that's good enough for now, but until we know it's 100% getting made, then I will like flesh it out even more and just put more details in and get really stuck in and get new ideas. And it's nice to, like I said, to walk away for a bit and then come back to something.
I love the fact that it's pretty much a spiritual sequel. It ties in very nicely to the first one. What I like the most is like the social commentary with the class war between the poor and the rich. Where did that idea stem from? Was there something like you read in the newspaper that sparked an idea, or did it just come naturally? Or
Yeah, I think it's well. The first thing is I definitely wanted to do this film obviously with homeless people. I couldn't, it would be stupid not to. If you look at the original film, we followed obviously the homeless people was a big part of the original. So straight away, I thought, I've got to do it with a bunch of homeless people, which straight away you can get a lot of cool characters and a lot of fun characters, and I just set it in that dystopian future. But you know the back of the backstory, not the backstory, but the whole thing about the government and it's it's what's happening and that's been happening and what's happening around the world. Like homeless right now is a major problem. It is in America, it is in South Africa, it is in England. I think it's worldwide. And then when it comes to the government and stuff like that, we all went through COVID. We all went through the government saying you have to do this, you have to do that, you must do this, you must do that, you must have this jab, you got to wear a mask. So I think I think that's where that was born from, where there's always some sort of government control in every country that you must obey by all these rules. So I thought it was quite relevant on what's going on in the world today and what's been happening over the past 5 years to put that in there because I think we all know what after COVID what shit was like.
that's what I've always loved about the horror genre. Like a lot of people discount it as being cheaper than it is, which is ridiculous because I've always felt that horror has a lot of things that can be taught. Like they're always either morality tales or a reflective mirror to what's happened in society, and I don't think people understand that. So it's very. I feel I take horror very seriously, and
Yeah, I think when people watch this film, I think that the social relevance can go over somebody's head easily, or they look at it and they go, "Shit, that's quite relevant." Like right now, what's going on, and and if they don't, that's also okay. And at the same time, I put that there for a reason. If you pick up on it, then great, and if you don't, it's all right. And at the same time, I can also step back and look at the film and be like, it is just a melt movie. It is fun. I don't take it too seriously. The film doesn't take itself too seriously, but at the same time, I think we've got strong narrative, we've got a strong characters, and we care for these characters, and we go on this journey. And I think a lot of these type of films lack uh, either narrative or lack like good characters that you actually care about. So they were apart from doing the in camera gore and prosthetics. Apart from that, my two big things was characters that you enjoy and care about and go on this journey, and obviously having a good strong narrative story.
I absolutely love the fact that you kept a lot of it very conventional. Was it hard designing the meltdowns? Like, was that difficult effects to pull off?
It was hard. It was hard doing it. It was a lot of fun. It was like a lot of fun planning it and doing it, but it just takes time. It takes time to get all the prosthetics on an actor, hours before, and it was winter when we were shooting, so it was very cold for the actors to have all this blood and guts and goo on their body, lying on the concrete or whatever. So it was pretty hard for them. But I think once we showed them the footage and stuff like that, I think they're really happy that they did it, but they might not do it again because it was cold.
That leads me to my next question, Sarah. What was the biggest challenge filming Street Trash, and what's the best memory that stands out in your mind from making this film?
I think, I mean, there was a lot of great moments making this film, and I feel that there was a lot of challenges as always with budget, and I've always tried to stretch every budget I work with to make a bigger, better movie to show what I can do as a director and as a producer, and just really putting stuff on screen. I think the prosthetics was probably the most challenging thing. Um, and I had a great cast and a lot of great filmmakers on board, but it always comes down to those technical things where we were also shooting on 35 millimeter, so this film was actually shot on film. So that was a bit of a thing as well. But we would shoot 3 or 4 days and then only get the footage back a week later. We'd
Mm.
send it over to England. They would send it back to us digitally, and then we'd see what we shot. So it would be over a week,
Oh,
and then
wow.
we'd look at what we got. So that was pretty crazy because we don't have a processing lab in South Africa anymore. But I think something that stands out it was, I think as a whole, it was just, I love doing all the action sequences towards the end of the movie.
Mhm.
But I think overall, it's probably just working with, Joe Vass and Donna Cormack Thompson and Sean Cameron Michael, just, good friends, and especially Sean and Joe, just good friends that I've worked with for many, many, many years. And finally, we're doing like a feature film together and just spending time with them and make going on this journey together. It was pretty special and pretty awesome.
I love the relationship between Sokol and that's your voice in Sokol, correct?
Yeah.
And then Gary Green, the relationship with the M2 cracks me up, man. How did you discover Gary Green? I've seen him in Fried Berry, and I'm really glad that you decided to have him back. I mean, how'd you find that cat, man? He's something else.
Yeah. You see, I couldn't make Street Trash without Gary. It was one of those where I have to put him in this movie. Obviously, Gary will always pop up in anything that I do without a doubt. I met Gary probably about maybe 12, 13 years ago, something like that, on a set. And Gary, he's not a trained actor. He used to do extra work, and so he spent many years doing extra work, and then I got him started to get him on my sets doing extra work. Then he got a little bit of featured here and there, and then yeah, then I did this one. I did Fry Barry, the experimental before the feature, which was like a 3, 4 minute little short. I did that with him, and then yeah, and then Fry Barry came along and did that. But working with Gary is I have to work very, very closely with him to get exactly what I want. Sometimes it takes quite a bit of time, and I got to jump through a lot of hoops. But I've got the patience, and we have a very good, close friendship. So, I have the patience for it, but it's just it's a lot of rehearsals with him, and it's a lot of pre rehearsing with him, getting him to the right space and the right moment. And the way I speak to Gary is very different the way I speak to a trained actor. So for him to understand and exactly what I want. And when I did Fry Barry, that was a lot of mimicking, a hell of a lot of mimicking where it would literally be the camera's here, Gary's there, and then I'm here, and I'm saying, "All right, copy this face. Now do this face. Now do that face." And then I would shoot for the edit, so I would have all these moments, and then I would turn it around on the other actor, and I would get his dialogue, but then I would have all these comedy beats from Gary because of the different performances that I get. And then when it comes to editing, it just looks like he's hitting all those beats. But Gary's great, and he gives 110% every time, and he really does. He really loves you know doing acting, and we just got a great understanding and a great working relationship that bringing them on to Street Trash, and Soccer was almost designed as a support boat for Gary's character, so I could work with him a little bit a little bit closer. So yeah, it's about casting Gary in the right roles and working with him in a certain way and to get exactly what I want. But sometimes it will take many takes to get what I want, or sometimes you'll do it in one take. Or the easiest things are the most hardest things for him.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's just like, yeah, it all depends. But as I said, Gary's great. He's got this great presence. He's got this great look, and he'll always give 110%. And we'll do take after take. And maybe when somebody would normally like give up, he's cool. He wants to do it and he wants to get it right. And that's what I love about him.
You had mentioned Sakwa. Is it difficult working with a puppet? Is there a lot of things that can happen and break down, or is that relatively easy? Hmm.
No, actually thinking about it now, and it was quite hard because there was a few things we were recording my voice as we were. So I didn't do I me per I just did the voice, so I didn't do the actual movement. So the prosthetics people were doing the movement. So I was doing my line, and then they were doing, and um, some of it was improv, some of the lines that we're doing.
Oh,
So I couldn't get exactly the right timing, but I thought maybe with editing I could shift and move it along, which we did. Um, but it was very hard because the design of Sokol's neck was like really short. So your hand's got to be in between. It was basically his neck was the same width of the wrist, which was, I guess, which was badly designed in that way for the prosthetics guys to
to make them
keep trying to
enunciate.
hide the wrist, but also their hands would end up, they'd be doing this and they'd be like in pain, just trying to keep because it's heavy. The puppet was actually really heavy. So sometimes we could put it on a stand and hide the metal framing to keep them up, and then other times you would have to keep it up, but it was like very heavy. So
Hmm.
it was time consuming sometimes doing that.
I only got a couple more for you, and I'm gonna wrap it up here. So I just want to ask you, what's another horror film that you would love to update if you was given the opportunity? What do you think needs an update? Hmm.
Well, to be honest, I haven't really thought of that. A few people have asked me. There is a project that we have the rights for that they approached me to do, and I pitched them a great idea which they really loved, and it was for Frankenhooker. So
Ooh, I would
so
love to
that
see you
could
do that, man. Holy cow.
yeah, so that would
I
be
love Henenlotter, and dude, you seem like the perfect person for that, for sure.
yeah, so I think that would be cool. So we gotta yeah, we got to see what happens there. But that has been in the talks, and I did do a pitch deck and treatment and everything for that, and it's a cool, fun idea, which would be Gary Green as well in
That
that.
would be amazing. And let me ask you, what's one thing about you that fans would be surprised to know that you enjoy?
Um, in what way? What, in films or?
Anything really, like something that would surprise you if we found out that you like doing. Like if you like
Um,
music or you like crocheting. I don't.
Fuck, I don't know, man. I love all, I love all genres of movies. I love all genres of music. There's a time and place, I guess, like especially with music, there's always a time and place to listen to certain stuff. And it's the same with movies, whether it's a Saturday or Sunday and you want to chill and you just want to watch a popcorn movie where you don't have to think about the movie. So yeah, I don't know. Fuck, I couldn't say. I like a lot of different shit. I like a lot of different shit. I love what I do, and I spend probably 99% of my time doing what I love doing. So maybe I need to get out more. Maybe I need to go to the gym. Maybe I need to do all this other stuff. But I do love what I do, and I can't have a day without doing what I love doing because it's always pushing forward to do something else and to do something creative.
Well, last question for you. After the overwhelming success of Street Trash, do you think you'd be interested in actually following up with a sequel, or is this going to be a one and done kind of thing?
A lot of people have been asking. A lot of people actually want to see a sequel to this
I do
movie.
too. That's why I asked. I think
Um,
most of the fans would really like to see something.
And I think it would be cool. I do think it would be cool because, the first half of this movie was to getting to know these characters. So now the cool thing is now if we did a follow-up, it'll be like a lot of fun because we know all the characters now. We know who's who. So I think it would be a lot of fun just to have fun with it and push it even more with the prosthetics and just go all out even more.
So that's a possibility in the future, you think?
Maybe, yeah. We'll have to see. A lot of people have asked for it. A lot of people have been saying, this is already like a cult film already. I think the fact that it's shot on film and it looks kind of, it looks 80s, it looks old. I've always looked at this film as a film that I would have wanted to see, or film type of films that I saw when I was a kid, and reliving that, making this film. And the fact that it's on film just pushes that even more. And I always say it's almost like if John Hughes had to make a melt movie, it would be this.
Before we close, can you offer my audience any words of wisdom if they'd like to become a director, writer, actor like you?
You just got to do it. I think there's no, people that can easily go, oh, I need this or I need that or I need money or this and this. And I truly believe as an independent filmmaker that, there's not, there's not a day. There's everybody at least one day a week does fucking nothing, or a few days a month do absolutely nothing. So instead of going out or instead of chilling, watching some movies, find somebody else that's as passionate as you are, whether you're a director or a DOP or a makeup artist, get those group of people that are passionate the same as you that haven't had chance to do anything and they are also in it for the right reasons as well to make something and just get those people together. And whether there's no excuse that you have one day a month, one day a month just to shoot a little short film. It's totally possible, and there's no excuses. I think if you get those people together, you can easily do one day and make a short film, and then before you know it, you're making your next one, and so on.
Well, thank you very much, man. Thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it. That's very solid advice. Where can we keep up with you on social media so we can follow what you're doing?
Yeah, so on Instagram, it's a Ryan Kruger thing. Twitter, a Ryan Kruger thing. Um, RyanKruger.tv and Facebook, just type in Ryan Kruger. I'm pretty sure it will come up. But thank you so much for having me on your show, man. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm glad that you enjoyed the film. And if you haven't seen Street Trash yet, anybody watching this, check it out and
I
let me know
highly
what you
recommend it, man. I absolutely love it. I love the way it looks. I love the way it sounds. It's a definitely a solid sequel to one of my favorite films of the 80s. So thank you, Ryan Kruger. Thank you for being on the show. I appreciate, man. Peace and love. Peace and love.
Cool,
Thanks
man.
again.
So
I'll be
much,
waiting
dude.
for the next thing you come up with, man. I'm a fan. So
Amazing. Thank you so much, man.